Hi, K-Sauce, Keelan here, and archetypes are everywhere. In our books, in movies, even in our music. As you know, archetypes stand for all really common hero essentials that you should know. Basically, they're recurrent symbols and motifs in literature, art, or mythology. Take Mark Twain's Huckleberry Finn, for example. Pretty standard American book, right? Or is it? It's a sequel to The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Let's take a closer look. What elements have we seen before? Well, to start off, there's Huck. He's the main character, the protagonist, the hero, if you will, who goes on an adventure and undergoes tests and trials. His dad, spoiler alert, dies midway through the book, and his mother is never really mentioned at all. Huck is an orphan. That ring any bells? Maybe, oh, I don't know, Superman, Batman, Luke Skywalker, Harry Potter, Elsa? See, most people think that these characters are the main heroes in their respective franchises. And they're right. Huck, like all these other characters, has had a difficult upbringing with an abusive and alcoholic father. Despite this hardship, he retains a willingness to help others like Jim and the Wilkes family. He's not always sure of himself though. A lot of times, his decision to help is contrary to what society believes. He struggles to make sense of the confusing world around him. This is his archetypal struggle, the trials and tribulations that most story heroes go through. Now, what about Jim? He's along for most of the ride and he becomes very close to Huck. But due to this whole debate over whether or not the entire book is racist, Jim gets attributed by a few opposing archetypes. First off, most people see him as a mentor or guardian to Huck. He cares for him, he protects him, he teaches him, but his role kind of fades midway through the book and he is reduced to spending most of his time keeping watch of the raft, sometimes even tied up, as we follow Huck to those towns where all the action is. Because of this, some people say that he is a sidekick or a scapegoat because he is blamed for having killed Huck at the start of their journey. Speaking of the start of the story, the way that Huck begins his journey is reminiscent of the way many other iconic figures start off theirs. After Huck escapes the prison that his father's house is, he comes across a wild pig, which he hunts down so that he can use its blood to fake his death. Wild pigs are actually not native to America. They were introduced in the 1500s by the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto and have since then become an invasive species. They cause at least $1.5 billion in damages each year, which has nothing to do with the book. I just love tangents. Back to Huck. He is basically beginning his adventures with animal sacrifice. The pig dies in his stead and is eventually dumped in the river afterwards. This was Huck's baptism. It's rebirth, his death of an old self so that he can begin anew. This is his archetypal initiation, the part when the hero kick-starts his journey. The river itself is also a pretty major archetype. Usually it represents the cycle of birth and death or the following of time. In Huckleberry Finn, the river is a symbol for their journey and the border between civilized and uncivilized places of Huck's life. Along the journey down the river, Jim and Huck encounter two very interesting characters, the so-called King and Duke. Con artists, really. A duo that goes to extremes to exploit other people. Mark Twain is making a point here. He titles the ridiculously fraudulent characters as royalty, referring to the hypocrisy of the government and the wealthy. Finally, we have Tom Sawyer, and this guy goes out of his way to make life as epic as possible. He makes the plan to rescue Jim so complicated that sometimes you wonder, whose side is he on? He complicates this storyline, bringing in tension and action. He tells us he's a shapeshifter archetype. Shapeshifters are one of the more obscure archetypes, but just think about the characters who have questionable loyalties. And that brings us full circle. And as always, thanks for watching.
And cut.
Oh my god. Amateurs! Jamie! Where's my water? Thanks, Jamie.
It's Jamie.
Do I look like I care?
Sorry.
Is this regular water?
No.
I wanted diet. It should be diet water. God, you never get it.
Ow.
Brittany!
Yeah?
Brittany, where's my Coke?
It'll be ready in a second.
My lips are feeling dry. Why do I even pay you guys?
You don't.
Right.